Last week, I was out at a run with a run club event, and I got asked a question I've been asked a few different times in various different forms. So this one kind of stuck with me. This person asked me what they should do before the run in terms of eating to get ready for the run. And what stuck with me is that this person was a retired nurse, so someone with a lot of experience in the health and wellness space. And so the fact that they were asking this question just kind of stuck with me. And not because there's a knowledge gap, but just because it showed how much noise in this space has really confused people about some of the simple things you should be doing to prepare yourself for a workout. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Daniel Steamer. I'm a multi-certified endurance sports coach specializing in running for adults. I've personally run over 130 races, including 3 marathons, 2 ultras, 4 half Ironmans, and I'm currently getting ready for my first full Ironman. And on top of that, I coach everyday adult athletes from their first race to their biggest adventures. Today, I wanted to talk about nutrition for fitness and endurance because at its core, it's pretty simple and the basics haven't really changed. But at the surface, people hear a lot of noise, a lot of mixed signal about what they should and shouldn't do. And this is because the fitness industry as a whole, meaning supplement manufacturers and influencers, don't really get the basics wrong, but they like to take a lot of narrow research and apply it very specifically. So you'll see this in things like protein timing windows, pre-workout supplements, post-workout shakes, carb debates, fat debates, high protein debates. As an example of this, I was talking to a friend about a month ago who is very new to fitness, and he was surprised to hear that protein had calories in it because all he's been seeing is you need protein and this has protein. You should consume more protein. There's no such thing as over-consuming protein, which is just not true. So the real cost of this is that people end up underfueling their workouts. They end up stalling their growth. They blame their fitness. They blame themselves. And the problem might just be that you're either under or overeating the wrong things, or that you're eating the wrong mix of things at the wrong time. So today I'm going to try and keep this pretty simple at the risk of maybe being too simple. Okay, so before we get to what you should eat and the timing around it, first let's just talk about how your body uses energy during exercise. Our body has 2 ways of fueling the effort during exercise. The first is through stored body fat. The second is through carbohydrates, which are either in the form of stored glycogen or free floating in our blood as blood sugar. At lower intensities, when we have an excess of oxygen, we're able to convert fat into energy. This is what people mean when they say burning fat. So sitting around like this, the energy it takes for me to sit upright, I'm burning fat to do that. At higher intensities, when there's a deficit of oxygen, when we are breathing heavy, our body can't convert fat to energy and has to do that with sugar, i.e. carbohydrates. It does that first by using the glycogen stores, which are local energy stores of sugar for simplicity, or it goes to that blood sugar where we have free-floating sugar from carbohydrates we ate recently. So how do we manage these energy stores that our body can use? Well, we do it through 3 different timing windows around exercise when it comes to eating. The first window is the pre-workout. So the pre-workout has one job. It is to fuel the effort we're about to do. Practically speaking, you want to fuel your workout anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours beforehand, depending on how much you're going to eat. If you're going to eat some very simple carbohydrates, very sugary things that are going to digest very quickly, you can do that within 30 minutes to 60 minutes before your workout. And if you're going to eat something that's more complex or a more fuller meal, like a full breakfast, you want to do that 2 to 3 hours before you work out, so your body has a lot of time to digest it and break those carbs down into basic sugars. Now, it's not necessary to eat protein or fat before a workout, and in fact, those can cause some GI issues because those are slower to digest, and during workouts, as the intensity increases, your body slows down digestion, and so if those are sitting in your GI tract, they might cause that irritation. But in terms of the carbs you can eat, sugar is sugar. Now, I did say simple versus complex carbohydrates. What I meant by that is simple carbohydrates are ones that are very quick to digest. Like literally table sugar is already as simple as it can get. If you use a glucose supplement, same deal. It's already as simple as it can get. If you eat something more like some fruit, which has some fiber in it, it's going to take some time to digest, or something like oatmeal. Those are a bit more complex, and you want to give a bit more time before your workout, before you just eat a bowl of oatmeal and then immediately go for a run. But regardless, carbohydrates convert down to sugar that your body can use. Your body doesn't check the source. It just knows how to convert different carbs down into sugar. Now, the second window to consider for fueling during a workout is the mid-workout window. If you're used to just doing like a standard workout, whether that's lifting weights or a short run, you've probably never felt that dip in energy mid-workout from running out of available carb and sugar sources. And that's because the glycogen stores I mentioned earlier, the way your body stores sugar, can last about 60 to 90 minutes, depending on the individual and depending on your conditioning around this and the intensity of your workout. If you're going to go longer than an hour, you really do need to consider how to resupply your body with more carbohydrates, with more sugar to keep the workout going. And this is really where simple sugars matter the most. You're going to want to take in very basic sugars, whether that's a sugary drink. Candy does work for some people. A lot of people also use running fuels. There's entire product lines around this where they're either glucose or glucose fructose blends. And that is all about getting quick, rapidly digested sugar into your bloodstream so that your muscles can tap right into it and continue to utilize that energy source to keep you going past that 1 hour mark. Otherwise, you'll have to drop your intensity down to a low enough level to have a surplus of oxygen to tap into your fat. And for most people, that's actually a really low intensity and doesn't serve the workout. On that note, when people talk about fat burning through running, that is why it can be tricky to do and pretty difficult to actually stay in that fat burning zone of intensity while also training or doing something like a long distance run, because you're really trying to work a very delicate balance of exactly how intense you can go. And if you come above that intensity too often and you burn down those glycogen stores, you're just going to hit what we call the wall, where you're out of energy and you'll have to drop down to a very low intensity run. And now the third and last window is the post-workout window. And I think this is the one that has the most confusion around it because of a lot of post-workout shakes and things that came out of strength training fitness culture. After a workout, you actually need two things. You need to replace the glycogen you burned down, which is your energy supplies, and you need protein to help rebuild your muscle fibers. And let me just talk about those both in a little more depth real quick. When it comes to the glycogen, as we talked about, that's what supplies your body with access to stored sugar. And those are stored all around your muscles, all around your body, and they last for about an hour. And so if you've burned those down, you need to replenish them by getting new sugar into your body so that it can be stored. And that helps maintain your energy level. When your glycogen is depleted, your energy, you feel it, you kind of just feel heavy, slow. And so if you've just done a big workout and burned those energy stores down and you don't replenish them, you're going to feel heavy and slow after that workout. And so it's really important to get some quick sugar in afterwards to fill them back up. Now, on the other side is protein, and I think people misunderstand this one a little bit too. When you do a workout, whether it's running or lifting weights, the way your muscles work is every time they're contracting, you're putting little micro tears in them. It's just a part of the process. And protein is what repairs them. And when your body repairs them with new protein, it also builds those muscles stronger and bigger. So that's why you want to get protein after a workout to help repair all the little micro damage you did to promote growth. And this is where it's gotten a bit mixed up. So whether it comes from the supplement side or it's gym myth, there's a big focus on this. You have to consume protein within 30 to 60 minutes after your workout. There's this thing called the anabolic window. And if you don't get protein during that time, you're leaving gains behind. And this is really just a myth. What actually matters is getting your total protein intake across the day. Now, there is a slight improvement to protein uptake right after your workout. But if you miss that window, you're not really going to lose much benefit. It's still a good idea within an hour or two to have a high carb, high protein meal or snack. But as long as you are getting your calorie needs, you're hitting your macros of carbs, protein, and fat across the day, it's not something to stress about. So to really make this simple and clear and kind of take some of the sciencey terms out of it, I'm just going to give you two side-by-side examples, a short run and a long run. A short run, we're going to define as something like 3 to 4 miles, and it's going to be under an hour. Depending on when you're going, the pre-workout might still be important. If you're going to do it first thing in the morning, you still probably want to consider doing a pre-workout, get some carbs in your body just to make sure that your fuel sources are topped off for that run. You don't really need to worry about a mid-run fueling if you're only going to be going for up to an hour. And then after the workout, that's when you would probably want to have breakfast, right? And have a nice mix of carbs and protein and some fats to really fill you up, supply your bodies with the protein it needs for that muscle repair, get your carbs in to top off your energy stores. Now, if you're doing that short run later in the day, you've probably been eating throughout the day, whether that's, you've had lunch or it's after dinner or maybe mid-afternoon and you had some afternoon snacks. And so at that point, it's up to you to consider whether you need a pre-fuel because you might have already been doing a pre-fuel just through your normal routines of eating. Same deal, that short run doesn't need a mid-fuel. And then post-run, you are going to want to make sure that you have that post-run snack or meal that includes carbs and protein. Now, when we look at the longer run, same logic applies. The only thing that you have to add into it differently is mid-fueling. And with that, you're going to want to get a decent amount of carbs every half hour to an hour to keep your energy levels up. Now, when I say a decent amount, a good rule of thumb for pre-workouts and workout fueling is about 100 calories of carbohydrates. It's about 25 grams of carbohydrates. And that's just a good starting point. There is no specific number that I can give you as an absolute. Every individual is going to be different. Everybody's conditioning to what they can eat and how often they can eat is going to be different. Some people consume higher carbs. Some people consume less carbs more frequently. It's really up to you to play with and find out what makes you feel the most energized, feel the most strong during your runs, and doesn't leave you depleted afterwards. So I gave you a long answer here to the person who asked me at my run the other week, the nurse who asked me what you should do. I gave her very simple. You should just eat some carbs before your run. And if you're going to be out here longer than an hour, you should bring some carbs to snack on. And she gave me that's it. And yes, that's it. This honestly isn't that complex unless you really want to understand the science behind what's going on that I shared with you in this video. It's really just that there's been years of conflicting advice, whether that's gym myth, influencer fear mongering, or nutrition supplement marketing, that has really just confused people about what they need to do, how much they need, when they need it. And a lot of this comes down to this desire to optimize things. But until you get the basics right and you know what works for you, it's kind of hard to optimize. After hearing all this, what are you going to do differently at your next run? If you find this kind of content useful, please subscribe. My goal with this channel is simple: to provide everyday adults with the information they need to train well and live their biggest adventures.